All right.
Yeah.
Just to get levels.
You have two microphones.
I do, but this one's not connected because this one's too sensitive.
Looks like there's two robot penises
This
there.
one needs a safe space in order for it to work.
I can only stay here. Just continue about your business. I'll just be here, not recording.
Exactly. All right, cool. Yeah, but like I said, this one you got to crank the F out of.
Word.
So this one needs lots of loving. See, a microphone is like a woman.
You got to put her.
You got to warm her.
You got to put the clamps on the bottom, Oh, sorry.
If
Are
men
we
are-
recording? I'm sorry. Hold on.
If men are like flash fryers, then women are like, an oven or something. I don't know what women are. I don't
Some sort of analogy there.
I don't know anything about
Baking.
women.
I don't know.
All right, so you finally watched that documentary?
Yes, finally. Don't F with a year later, almost like to the month, basically. Yeah, god damn, bro.
Fucked up, man.
What a ride!
Yeah.
So you did kind of mention this in our first. You're trying to not spoil it for me.
Yeah, I remember
You know
that.
what I mean? I know that was a huge kind of a part where you're kind of like, I can answer, but I'm trying to stay vague.
Yeah,
And we only touched on it or whatever, but his obsession with movies.
yeah.
And it ended up becoming not just like essential to his weird ass plot, but it what he was literally in his own movie, dude.
For sure.
You know what I mean? And he just really placated into this weird narcissistic just
fantasy.
yeah, completely detached.
Mhm.
Yeah, and dude, I think that hit me the hardest because I'm such a huge fan of movies.
Right.
I was plopped down. Thankfully, I actually got enough attention as a kid. But I was also plopped down in front of. We didn't have television, but we had movies. We had a ton of movies, dude. And my family lived in a place where you couldn't just walk to the store. It was the not like the woods or whatever. It was like a little community, right? And
You were never there for me, were you?
yeah. And so I watched tons of these VHS movies, and I ended up learning all the really good ones, the good lines from them, and stuff like that, and stuff. Where it was more of a entertainment outlet or whatever. For this dude, is a straight up escape, and an escape plan. And it was crazy because as I'm watching it, and again, I didn't really remember exactly what you had told me about it or anything like that. And
That's good.
Yeah. And so as I'm watching, I didn't end up going to listen to that episode that we did until after we had watched it. I'm like, oh my God, what even happened? And then as I'm listening to it, I'm like, oh my God, dude. Oh man, as I was watching it and starting to put it together, it was a little long, to be honest. They probably could have made it a little more concise, but I think it was just long. They fluffed it just long enough.
Yeah, they dragged out some things.
Yeah, for sure. Kind of unnecessarily so or whatever. I was just tripping out like crazy watching the movie aspect kind of come together. And when they,
they executed that really well.
Yeah.
What they were doing back and forth.
Yes, dude. And right when the mother was like, and here's this keychain with the Basic Instinct thing, my fucking jaw dropped. I'm like, because it all made sense to me too. I'm like, dude, he's doing the exact, even when he first painted, when he used it wasn't an ice pick, it was a screwdriver that was painted silver or whatever.
Oh, yeah.
Dude, that reminded me of Basic Instinct before they even introduced it into the movie, into the documentary. And I was just like, dude, this guy he's pretending. I'm like, but
copycat.
I didn't get it. Yeah, exactly.
Pun intended.
Yeah, right. I was talking to my wife as we were as the whole movie part of it was coming together too, his obsession with it and everything. I'm like, oh my God. And then as soon as they, they go and interview the mom, who was fucking nuts too, dude. And they were talking about Basic Instinct, his favorite movie, and and I was thinking back to myself, oh my God, oh dude, and I swear it wasn't the guy named Manny. And then sure enough, after that, they're like, what was his name? Fucking Manny Vasquez or what, you know what I mean? And I was like, oh my God. Anyway, so I just liked it a lot. I like the aspect too of the kind of forensic internet investigatory
That
people.
was really what hooked me into it.
I just like the concept of it too. I remember we talked about it again in that episode. Specifically the concept of feeding into his ego, being responsible for perpetuating his violence.
Oh yeah, right. Yeah, it's like we were the ones that enabled him to do.
And we
what
talked
he was
about
doing.
that in our episode and everything. And I kind of mentioned before, and I want to change my opinion a little bit.
Okay.
Because I said before that on the one hand, I don't like that they're giving him, attention and stuff. But on the other hand, justice needs to be served. I kind of have a caveat to that.
Okay.
So I still believe that, but as to the question of did these people and their attention that they gave him fuel his methods and increase his methods and make him do more than perhaps he wouldn't have without them? I think yes, 100% dude.
Okay.
However, it doesn't change my opinion on my answer to that question then wouldn't be, well, we should just not pay. We should just ignore through the trauma that happened in his life, not getting enough attention, whatever happened to the father who's not in the picture
Right.
and apparently had schizophrenia and was diagnosed in like 94 and just wasn't part of the family anymore. And along with escorting and getting involved in some kind of dark shit in that whole line of work sometimes. I think all that culminated into this dude who desperately needs attention.
Yeah.
And with like the fake, what was it? It was like a fake tabloid thing where he went in and he was like,
oh yeah, inserting himself.
I'm definitely not dating
Madonna.
No, it was some like some Canadian serial killer chick who threw her fellow serial killer husband under the bus. And then he got like a life sentence or death or whatever. And she got like a couple of years and then like eligible for probation.
Which in and of itself was a sign that he was obviously researching these other killers and everything like that.
Exactly. That was another sign that he was getting obsessed with like serial killers and their whole, as well as the, fake accounts and names that he would set up would be like victims,
they would be named after them.
Named after victims or something like that.
Yeah.
Oh, and then they later found out, I guess, that woman who threw her serial killer husband under the bus actually ended up doing more than he did. And so so she just completely like turncoated on him and like, like, sorry, like, and took the life raft basically and was like, goodbye, which is perfect for his character. But it's hilarious. Like he goes into this tabloid place and looking bizarre, by the way, and just going like, I'm
definitely TMZ.
Not dating so-and-so, and I want you guys to stop saying that.
Right.
And they're like, we're not saying that. Okay, good, because I don't want anybody to say that I'm dating this person. You know what I mean? And it's like a clear, obvious attempt to get attention. So anyway, the point that I'm getting at here, dude, is that because this dude exclusively relied on the attention of other people, no matter where he got it, I think, the amount of attention and fervor and vitriol and everything that was like caused by his first video, he totally fed off that. And I think that did power him to do his next thing. But as I was saying before, I think all of that drama that I talked about just a second ago kind of culminated into this dude was already going to do something gnarly. People that do stuff to animals or whatever, it's like almost 100% of the time, especially if it's left unchecked. Yeah, exactly. It goes to the next level, which is killing somebody. I just think that maybe they sped up the timeline. So I don't think they're so let me clarify my answer. I don't think that they're responsible for his escalation into killing a person, but did their attention and the attention of others drive him to do worse and worse things on like a faster timetable? Yeah, I think so. I think so.
See, one of the things that I think the documentary succeeded in is when they were talking about that, the woman who was in the internet investigating body moving, yeah. But when she was like looking at the camera, me personally, I felt like, oh crap, like it almost like involved me in it.
Yeah, I was getting super meta.
My fault almost.
Yeah, I was getting super meta by like looking into the camera and being like, you also who are watching this documentary. But I think that's kind of more of just like sensationalism or whatever to like hype up like the documentary and also just kind of to shed responsibility off of them. Not like intentionally, but I feel like they are giving themselves too hard of a time for the whole like concept of like, did we, drive this guy with too much attention, blah, blah, blah. This piece of shit needed to be caught, dude.
Right. Well,
he wasn't going to be caught by the police. I mean, certainly not until like he fucking murdered that dude. Yeah. You know what I mean? And if he would have been caught beforehand, maybe that, maybe he wouldn't have even made it that far. You know what I mean? So maybe more attention could have brought this guy to jail. You know what I mean? So it's just one of those subjective.
It's true, I suppose. Yeah.
Yeah.
But it was kind of messed up because, he was like infiltrating their groups. So, and of course you have the whole anonymity thing. It's like, you never know which one he is or where he is.
Yeah. You have to really know about all these like internet sleuthy things to even determine like, oh my God, this isn't even a real account. Like,
and even though they did do some pretty good investigative work, he was also feeding them clues too.
Right. Totally. And red hair.
Part of him wanted to be caught because, again, the attention thing.
Yep. Wants the kudos.
Yeah.
And the other interesting aspect that I wasn't really aware of besides the whole like movie connection, even though we kind of briefly talked about it or whatever, is the whole concept of like internet mobs. That kind of shows that when human beings create systems, social systems and stuff like that, it kind of almost gives life to them outside of the people who started it. You know what I mean?
Okay.
And now this thing is kind of running on its own, and it caught up that Jamsey dude who ended up killing himself. Yeah. And that was a gnarly aspect too. And it's really lame too that like this dude, I mean, again, and this dude had like issues too, making like fake videos of killing cats just to kind of like troll people and stuff like that, which doesn't make it right. But I'm just saying, just trying to be fair here. I just thought that was a really interesting part of the show where you kind of people's emotions and desire for revenge and for vigilanteism and for, you know, kind of clouds their judgment or whatever, and ends up scooping up innocent people and stuff. And I just thought that was really interesting.
Yeah.
And sad.
I'm glad that they also interviewed the victim's friend, like his best friend, and let him, like, you know, actually tell more about them, because so many times it's not about the victim at all.
Yeah, the killer always gets like all the attention when in reality it's the victims who are worth remembering.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah, I like that aspect.
One thing I wanted to discuss with you, and I couldn't really discuss unless you actually watched it,
I was going to ask you to bring that stuff up, basically, because I know during the episode you were just like, I can't even bring this up.
Yeah. It was trying to present a little bit of objectivity, at least in the initial part. And I don't know if this was completely their intention, but like when they started talking about the mom, like maybe as the viewer, if you didn't know the case, you'd be like a little bit like, oh, okay, maybe like considering like
maybe Manny is a real person.
Yeah, things like that.
Yes,
I
like how they did that. But
then they
too.
lean like
the other hand in the video, and the fact that the lawyer was like, oh, well, that's weird because like 2.5 years ago he told me about this guy Manny or whatever. You know what I mean? So which. At first, you're like, oh, that's totally believable.
And what's interesting,
and then you find out, you're like, oh, this fucking slimy piece of shit, like freaking set this whole thing up. Well, set up aspects of it years in advance.
And what's crazy about that is that if you think about the actual movie making process, that's all editing, because they have all this footage, because they go to interview the guy, they know what he's talking about throughout the whole thing, they know how it ends.
Right.
But then they edit it in such a way that they're trying to kind of, first of all, they got to put things in, you know, chronological order.
That's the thing. Yeah. You can't give everything away too quick. You got to tell the story first. So that way, when you drop the information at the right time, you know, it's like, oh my God.
But eventually they kind of veer into like, you know, this is definitely, they take a stance through the documentary. You understand what I'm saying?
Yeah. I feel like
they definitely present like, this is what happened. It was kind of jarring for me, and it kind of left kind of a weird taste in my mouth at the end. And I guess I was still in that mindset of they're trying to be objective. The way that they did it seemed kind of deceptive, especially towards the mom. If this makes sense, I probably have to watch it again. But they didn't say it directly, but because of the way it was edited and presented, they were just like, it seemed like they went in to talk to the mom and they were probably like, okay, we're going to let you tell, you know, the real story and everything.
Yeah. And then proceeded to show a bunch of clips afterward that was totally destroying
everything that she was saying.
Well, dude, I mean,
and I know that that's kind of the thing about the documentary is to get to the truth.
Well, it's not necessarily to get to the truth, but it's to portray information and kind of.
But like I'm sure you've come across documentaries that are just like really biased.
Propaganda pieces.
Yeah, exactly.
Oh, 100%.
Yeah,
every documentary on Netflix.
Right. So. I guess what I'm saying is ultimately the big question is like, I guess maybe this will make more sense if I can metaphorize this here.
Totally.
It's more like reading an article and not knowing if it's an op-ed or like just a fucking article. You know what I mean?
Or an
like
ad.
Just come up, or sponsored content.
Yeah.
It's kind of like that. Does that sort of make sense?
Yeah. No, I get it. I would just argue though that because as objective as you're trying to be, it comes to a point when you have all the information, when you have an amount of information that makes your brain go, yeah, dude, this is what happened. Like, Manny's bullshit.
Right.
That's, and I get what you're saying. I feel like if there was more information and evidence of Manny or of that nature, they would have put it in the fucking documentary. And to be honest, bro, I was willing to totally believe that there was another person, dude, because a lot of the times it's not just one person. Because that kind of shit
does happen
all the time.
You know, people get possessive.
Expensive clientele. Psycho dude who's freaking like hella possessive and like controlling and, you know, a stalker basically.
Has lots of power, probably.
Yeah, totally. Runs in circles where people do really bizarre stuff because that shit is real, dude. Right. They have snuff films, stuff about animals and freaking... Dude, that shit is 100% real. When he was saying that, you know, he's waiting out, he was just waiting, he was giving me instructions and and he ran outside and he had something in his hand. Dude, I was like, oh, no way. Like, I would totally believe that, dude. Here's a guy who's trying to like keep his hands clean, but making this younger dude do a bunch of the stuff. And I thought that Manny was the one behind the keyboard, basically.
Right.
He was the mastermind doing all that, like, you know, the internet stuff and fucking with people and getting off on the attention. Luca was just like the hands of the operation, basically. You know what I mean? This doesn't add up. This doesn't add up. There's literally no evidence of this guy. We don't have a fucking... And I'm not going to lie. Before it kind of came to those revelations at the end of the third episode, the final episode,
Yeah.
I was asking like my wife and stuff too. I'm like, dude, they have all this CCTV footage of fucking Luca. Where's this other guy?
Yeah. Right.
I didn't see one fucking video of this guy. I saw the video of him of Luca carrying a fucking severed torso with a suitcase across like a bunch of like kids, like up and over, like, excuse me, sorry. Like I was just like, God damn, dude, bro, that was a torso that just walked by us. Like that's crazy.
Super chill.
How often does that happen or whatever? You're like driving down the road and you just kind of look over and you're like, how many people on this road that I'm sharing with have some weird shit in their trunk? I have those weird thoughts all the time, dude.
Yeah.
Is this guy a psycho? Oh, that guy's definitely a psycho.
That's totally healthy, Drew.
I know, right? Just suspicious of sizing everybody up. No, well, it's more of like in a playful way, like in what was that zombie movie with Nick Frost and freaking
Shaun of the Dead?
Yeah, totally, dude. Where he's sizing everybody up in the bar and he's assigning them like fake backstories and stuff to like the elderly couple and to like this one guy who's just kind of there by himself. He's like, oh, he chopped up like 8 people in his basement. He does. And he's just like, oh, you're fucking kidding me. But anyway, yeah, anyway, it was really good, dude. I liked it a lot. It was easily on like the list of the big 3 documentaries of that internet era or whatever, of like The Making of a Murderer, Don't Mess with Cats, Tiger King, of course.
The classic, the GOAT.
Right, totally. And of course, we gotta have a honorable mention, of course, of Wild Wild Country. Those are all fantastic. If you guys aren't doing anything, go binge watch all of those right now.
I don't know if I should even keep trying to harp on this point, because I kind of like the way Wild Wild Country did it, because they were kind of going back and forth and like, yeah, these people both did terrible things, and
well, dude, and that's
there's
the
merit to each of one of their points.
I feel like this documentary did that too. Each documentary is usually really good with doing that, of saying like, look, dude, people are flawed.
Sure.
You're never going to pick a picture of like, this guy's pure evil and this guy's pure good and stuff. It's always just like, God damn, human beings are complicated, chaotic fucking animals, dude.
And this could all be, this fair point, this could all be just inside my head. But, you know, it didn't like leave it open at the end. It was kind of like reading a book with like an unreliable narrator. But sometimes like you're reading the book and like, okay, this is what's happening. This was happening. It's like, oh, wait, the narrator just fucking lied to me about that whole last chapter. You know what I'm talking about? You ever read a book like that?
I don't think so.
Oh, they're great to read.
Word.
But they fuck with your head.
Yeah.
I don't know. It's kind of
like a thriller type, like
sometimes.
Yeah.
No, it was overall. Obviously, it was. I really enjoyed it. There was just like a couple things. There was a couple specific things that I don't remember, but when we recorded it the first time, I had on my mind of like I would critique it for. But I don't know.
There's definitely still unanswered questions for sure. Who was the other hand?
Do you feel like it kind of glorified the internet sleuths too much, or talked about them too much? Because
I heard that complaint.
One of the things, maybe this is one of the things I was thinking of, but one thing that got to me was one of the like bone chilling moments was when they had the video of Body Movin's work. Like somebody knew where exactly she worked and they went in there and they fucking
walking
filmed
through
it.
Her. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. So I was thinking about that, and one person could have done that by just going online to forums of somebody who recorded like, hey, look, I'm walking around through the Bellagio.
It's possible.
Blah, 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 and then just cut the audio off.
Mm-hmm. It's possible he got the video from somewhere else, but how did he know where she worked?
Well, this dude was evidently like kind of an internet sleuth too, right? Like he was
somewhat savvy,
super familiar with the internet, and he was like evidently creating like fake accounts, and not just to like infiltrate the group, but to just glorify himself and put up all these like, oh my God, you're so hot, oh my God. And
he was fluent in Photoshop and Windows Movie Maker.
Photoshop as well. Yeah, exactly. Right. I feel like this is all just a product of the era, dude, of people who kind of live in this cyberspace realm.
Now let me ask.
I was just gonna say, no, just to finish the question, I don't think they over glorified him at all. No, okay. I mean, these are the guys that basically helped catch him. So as long as it was basically those two main people that you saw in the documentary, the Body Movin' and like Tom Green or John Green or one of the guys, then, you know, that's cool. But I wonder how many people did a lot of other work that never got an interview.
I mean, it's possible. Yeah, it's possible they just didn't want to be part of the documentary. Also so they just kind of cut them out. Or
also
just
true.
Like, you know.
Or maybe their parts, they had just a single small part. I mean, crucial, but maybe small part that so they're like, we're not really going to talk about it.
And then you have, obviously, since you're making the movie, you have, there's a word for it, but like kind of like editorial license where you just be like, yeah, that was cool, but it doesn't fit our narrative, so we're not going to put them in.
Oh, totally. 100%. Yep. I'd like to know what didn't make it in. That would have been cool.
Yeah. Let me ask you this.
You know what's screwy is that dude got to watch that documentary while he's in jail.
Oh, really?
You got to watch himself watch the documentary.
Oh, jeez.
I know. And he says he loves it in there. It's great. Freaking.
Oh, of course he loves it because it's all about him.
well, no. He loves it in jail, in prison, rather. Mm-hmm. Because I guess up in Canada, like, even if you're like a murderer, they freaking hook you up with like movies and video games.
Hey, buddy.
Yeah.
Here's a video.
So, so that's like his favorite thing is to watch movies.
Yeah, they've got Netflix and Hulu, but they don't have Disney Plus.
Hopefully they get that next year, probably. Fingers crossed.
Do you think that the law enforcement was, I shouldn't say justified. Do you think if it would have happened today, that maybe they might have acted?
Like the exact same thing with like all the videos they had before the murder of the dude? Mm-hmm. Oh, man. It's hard to say, dude, because there'd be a lot of variables involved. If it was like a smaller town, maybe they'd take it more seriously, but maybe they wouldn't have the resources. But if it was like a bigger town, maybe they wouldn't take it very seriously, but they would have the resources.
That's interesting. What I mean? Yeah.
So I'm not really sure. I mean, I guess it just kind of depends. Like, tell you what, dude, if you had people that could not only 100% tie this guy to these illegal acts, but also could present it to a normie in a way that they're going to understand and stuff, that you can be like, no, this is 100% provable in court, dude. Just so you know, like, then I think the, we would have handled it either with the same speed or faster or, whatever. But I don't blame them. You don't have no idea how like annoying it is for somebody like me who like knows about like a lot of like when they like straw man an argument of something or whatever, like and then roll their eyes at something. I'm sitting there like, bro, I know for a fact you have no fucking idea what you're talking about. You've never looked into this at all, and you're just gonna jump on the mainstream bandwagon of like, well, that sounds crazy, right? So blah blah blah. You know what I mean? And it's like, well, the mafia was a fucking conspiracy theory at one point, dude. You know what I mean? They literally had like McCarthy or some of these people, criminals getting together and organizing and for a single illegal goal. That's just ridiculous. You know what I mean? And
where's my check?
Yeah, for real. And yet, like, and now that kind of thinking seems so ridiculous, right? So I kind of feel like it's the same way where these people, they all day long are into this other information pool, like we were talking about before, and they're dipping their freaking toes into these information pools. And so they're well aware of what's in that pool. Right. And so when somebody else who's not like into all that comes over and hears about this information, it can be hard to like digest, especially from some of these like old fogies that are working at like that. I mean, for fuck's sakes, dude, they don't have like cyber divisions.
Yeah. And
you know what I mean?
All this conversation is making, maybe I'm going way off the rails here, but all this conversation is kind of making me think of like, like the intelligence community and stuff.
Totally.
So.
Oh, 100%, dude. And that's what we were talking about in that episode as well, is that like, if this would have happened years ago, it would have been way more difficult. Cause I was talking to you about that one other, thing where it happened kind of similar about those two boys in like Ukraine or somewhere like that. And, they found them too. And this was like before like Facebook and where people were just willy nilly putting up their profiles and stuff, which now is kind
sharing their entire lives.
Yeah, exactly. Which is in and of itself kind of like a weird phenomenon. I don't even know what you'd like call it or whatever, but like when these internet sleuths when they're sleuthing, they can tell based on the amount of data that's put into a profile, for instance, whether or not this profile is legit, a real person, how old it is. Right. All these things will tell you on all kinds of things. You know what I mean? And so I'm wondering, are there people that only exist on the internet?
Like, for sure.
100, but I mean like 100%, not like we're made by like another person. I mean like that is literally built out of like some kind of like prearranged like algorithm that just you type in what you want and it pulls like a picture, and it just starts building a profile, and every day it adds like a picture and a caption and and so you're literally like in The Departed where they create this whole background for this dude or whatever. So if you look it up, you're like, oh no, look, at 92 you went and did this, and then 94 this happened. If you could do that purely in the digital fucking forum, you could throw so many people out. No, this dude's been active for like 10 years, dude. This account is for sure like a real person, and
So what you're saying is like a Western fucking VTuber, like a real life VTuber type of thing, where they just like it's a complete
fabrication.
Yeah.
Nothing is real, dude. Yeah. Everything is just plucked out of some other realm or whatever. Yeah. Anyway, I just thought that was really interesting and super bizarre.
I'm trying to think of any other questions I could throw at you about it.
As long as the documentary they didn't really go too deep into Luka's like past.
Yeah, that was
annoying.
One thing
that
I
was
definitely
really annoying because they were just like, well, we're just going to focus on like the videos and the events surrounding them. You're like, well, yeah, but then the next logical question, bro, is like, what happened to this dude?
Right. The whole point of learning about serial killers and everything is to try to prevent another fucking serial killer.
Right. The whole point of it is to understand.
Right.
So that therefore prevention can be applied. Hopefully. Yeah. I totally agree.
Yeah. Because
super fascinating stuff.
Yeah, focusing on the event is the exact wrong thing to do. You know, post the person's name and face everywhere and talk about, you know, oh, look at how many look at the giant body count in this thing that he's done, rather than like
how did we fail them and how did they fail themselves?
For sure.
And us, I guess, you know what I mean, and the rest of us. And I think it's super bizarre. And I think actually, frankly, people kind of don't realize, dude, that there's a bunch of motherfuckers out walking around, dude,
that have the potential,
that are engaging in normal, like seemingly normal behavior and talking to people and having a life kind of and an identity and a personality and a freaking a whole aspect of their life that people see. And I call them like functional psychopaths, basically. You know what I mean? Like we see people that
CEOs.
Like, for real. Yeah, basically. Who makes like Roundup and shit? Like Monsanto. Yeah, basically all the CEOs fucking in the head, fucking the chair boards of fucking Monsanto.
That's what I'm wondering. Like, how can you be a part of this company and like just not care about all the shit that you're doing?
Well, so I think, and we also brought this up too in the other episode of like, well, how can you be like an investigator and just like switch off your freaking like emotions or whatever, so you don't get too like drawn into this. You can stay objective. You can catch this motherfucker. You know what I mean? I don't know, man. It's bizarre, but I feel like, man, there's a whole group of people out there that are walking the edge, dude.
One bad day away.
Yeah. Yes, dude. Exactly, bro. Just one bad day. And
that's why I just try to be nice to people.
Yeah, no kidding, dude. Yeah, because you have no idea, bro. You have no idea if that's on the guy's worst day of their life, dude. And like all these horrible things just happened to that person, and now you like honking at them or yelling at them or berating them in front of everybody is the last.
Dude, I had a traffic incident. Dude. I had a traffic incident on the way over here, and I was like, okay, dude, just back off, let you do whatever. Because if I start cutting that guy off and like flipping at him,
then it's just gonna it's just gonna escalate.
You never know. You never know, dude.
So it's funny you say that, because something happened to me on like Tuesday or whatever, where I was like gonna get in line for a drive-through, and I took the turn before this other guy.
Yeah.
Because I had the right of way. He had like a I didn't have the right of way necessarily, but he had a speed bump that he was still going over.
Okay.
So I'm like, well, I don't have a stop sign, so I'm just and I go left. And then, dude, I have like 30 feet before the guy just starts like fucking flipping me off, like fuck. And it's a parking lot, right, dude? Okay. But we're only going like fucking 3 miles an hour. You know what I mean? And it's like just freaking out through the windshield. I'm like, really? And so like I was kind of a dick, and I just kind of like stopped because he started mashing up on my like tail, and because I'm not going fast enough in a 5 mile an hour parking lot, so I just stopped, bro.
Yeah.
I just completely stopped, and he's like fucking gets right behind me. He's like, what? And I'm just looking at him like, shaking my head like, bro, like we're going to get like lunch, dude. Like relax. And basically I was just like looking at him in the mirror and like laughing. He was like trying to get out of his car and walk up to mine or whatever. So
that's when you speed off.
Well, I just put my gun on my lap and just I wasn't gonna do anything, because you have to like you have to go through every motion possible or whatever before you even think about pulling the gun, because then you're going to jail, obviously, for good reason. But I just remember thinking to myself like, what is wrong with you and stuff. And then like I kind of played into it a little. I didn't really taunt him that much or like say anything or whatever. But after I left, I was like, you know what you should have done, Drew? Because I looked at him and he was like, bro, you cut me off, bro. You're fucking going fast or whatever, which is all bullshit. I should have, instead of just ignored and kind of laughed at him or whatever, I should have just been like, do you want to go in front of me? And just pull over to the side and be like, go ahead, dude. And just let him go in front of me, dude.
Right.
It's one car.
Yeah.
I was sitting here stuck at the fact that he's fucking getting so pissed off at the fact that it's only one car.
Right.
When I could have just been like, well, if it's only one car, just let this fucking lunatic go, dude. I don't have to be anywhere right now. It's fine. I'm not
that's pretty much
on a timetable.
That's the same mentality I have. Like if somebody's like going 50 and a 35, like racing to the next stoplight, like, okay, dude, obviously you feel like you need somewhere to go. I'm going to get out of your way.
Exactly.
Whatever.
Totally. But I can't think that clearly when people are freaking...
It's hard.
I have a really bad problem with matching people's energy.
Yeah.
So if you come at me with like high intensity energy, I'm going to match that, dude. If you come at me all like logical and like just like, hey, dude, look, it really bothered me what you did a second ago. You did this and did that. I'd be like, you're right, bro. I'm sorry about it. You know what I mean? But like, I'm not wired that way, dude. If people start coming at me, bro. I get all fired up and do the same thing. And then it's only later when I'm driving away that I'm like, what the fuck was that all about?
Yeah.
I'm an idiot. Like both of us, we're fucking dumb.
Damn you, id.
Right?
Do you enjoy the show and want to help it grow? Don't hesitate. Like, share, and donate.
I'm on a beach.
Yeah, exactly. Listen to the sound of the waves crashing on the beach. Ignore the seagull. Just waves on the beach. Right, totally. Ignore the biplane.
Bro, throw it to me, bro. Oh, shit.
Ignore the bros on the beach trying to play football and oppress the two blondes that are walking this way. Hey, excuse me. Yeah, 1 second there. Hey, I'll be right back. Don't go anywhere. You're soothing waves. Hey, come over here for a second.
Where you going?
Oh, God. I'm hypnotizing a client over here. You want to come over? You don't? No? Okay, that's fine. And the waves and